Okay, so distribution and interaction of cities. So we're talking, remember last time when we talked about the growth of cities, and we talked about, bigger cities obviously are going to have just, more stuff, okay? And so that's really kind of what we're focusing on, okay? The bigger the city, the more stuff, the more services, the more attraction, the more interaction people are going to have with it, okay? So I think if you kind of keep that in mind, it'll really help you understand these. And I believe all four of these are vocab terms, so that'll help too. Okay, so just kind of some little side notes here. So cities, and we talked about this yesterday because we went rural to megalopolis, okay, but cities will range in size from about, I don't know, a couple thousand, few thousand, to over 20 million. Okay, so you have your little bitty cities that only have a couple of thousand, and then you've got your mega cities like in Asia that have almost 30 million people. Okay, so this'll, when we start talking about services and things like that cities can offer their population, this is why, because some cities are bigger and some cities are smaller. Okay, now they all exist in an urban system. Okay, all an urban system, all that is just cities that are independent, not independent. What am I trying to say? Interdependent. There it is. Cities that are interdependent with each other. Okay, so if they're interdependent, then they rely on each other. They're connected. There's, going to be roads and things like that between them because they have lots of interaction with each other. Okay, so interdependent. Let me say it like this. Interdependent set of cities. My eraser is not... There we go. Interdependent set of cities in a region. Okay. So let's talk about the gravity model first. So, and I'm going to change color when I change topic, but don't feel the pressure to do that. It's just so you can clearly see and make sense of my notes. Okay, so I don't know, let's do this in blue. Okay, so gravity model. Okay, gravity model, it sounds complicated. It's really not. Okay, so think of the gravity model as like these cities are magnets. Okay, and the bigger the city, the more attraction it has to people. Okay, so like think of Dallas or Houston. Lots of small towns and smaller cities interact with Dallas and Houston because they have more stuff. So they're a bigger magnet to attract people into them. Okay, so for our definition then, let's say places that are larger and closer together will have greater interaction. Okay, and then obviously the opposite is true. Okay, places that are smaller and farther apart are going to have less interaction with each other because there's just not as many stores, restaurants, events there that are going to attract people to them. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Okay, so more flow of people, but I'm just going to put flow. More flow from big city to big city is what you're going to see. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like in real life. I'm going to draw Texas, but don't be judgy about my Texas, because Texas is hard. Oh, okay. All right. So we've got Dallas up in the north, and then we've got Houston down south. Remember when I showed you the ecumene at night, and those we could see how bright they were in Texas, right? Dallas was up top, and then Houston was down below. And then remember we talked about Texas has a like a little megalopolis. It went from DFW down to who? San Antonio. Okay, yeah. I would for this one, because this is the real world example. Okay, so let me put San Antonio down here. So San Antonio is another big area. I guess we could say Dallas-Fort Worth. Okay, so to connect Dallas to Houston, that's I-45. But to connect Dallas down to San Antonio, that's I-35. Okay, now let's think about this. You have little cities all in between there, right? So and then you even have cities out in West Texas too that'll have connections. So like, for example, you got Abilene, right? Abilene has lots of connection to Fort Worth and Dallas. They'll go into those cities a lot. Okay, Lubbock too. Like Lubbock is the big town out in West Texas, but it's not very big. But there's connection from Lubbock to Dallas. Okay, there's connection from Abilene to Dallas, even Abilene to Fort Worth. Okay, so think about it like this. So we're Frisco. Okay, we connect to Dallas. You could think of it in terms of like events that you would go to, right? Okay, we have some concerts that come out here to FC Dallas, but like Pink or Justin Timberlake or I don't know, give me somebody else who's big that y'all listen to. The Biebs, right? They're not coming to FC Dallas because that stadium's not big enough, right? So they'll go to the AAC, and then you have to drive into Dallas to go see them. Make sense? So we do that. We have a bigger connection to Dallas. We gravitate, gravity model, towards Dallas because it has more stuff. Okay? Okay, so that's real world. Okay, that's the model. Okay, any questions about the gravity model? Okay, let's talk about Primate City next. So I'm just going to come down below. Okay, so Primate City, hang on. Okay, Primate City is one of your terms as well. Primate cities, they're not all the time, but mostly they're in LDCs. Okay, mostly you'll find these in LDCs. I'll actually give you an example of sometimes how there's a primate city in MDCs as well. Okay, but mostly you'll find these in LDCs. Okay, let me give you the definition. So what happens here in primate city countries, this is when their largest city, so the biggest city that the country has, is more than twice the size, so population-wise, is more than twice as large as the next city. Okay, so this is when you have one really, really big city, and then the next city is way smaller than that one. Okay, now here's kind of how I remember it. So I always think of like King Kong, okay? Because King Kong is a gorilla, right? And gorillas are primates, okay? So I'm going to draw a gorilla here. Well, I'm going to attempt to draw a gorilla here. You don't have to draw the gorilla. This is just to help make sense.
That looks pretty good.
Thanks. Hey, don't be mean about my gorilla. Sydney, I'm going to remember that.
I was trying to defend you. They were making fun of it, so I was like, I want to see them.
Likely story. Likely story. Okay. So his eyes are a little bit too high, but that's okay. All right. So King Kong, right? And I'll label him. Okay. King Kong, he's like, give me all the bananas. Okay. And let's say you have King Kong as a pet. All right. You're not going to be able to have other monkeys as pets, other primates, because King Kong is going to take all your money, all the bananas, all of your pet watching services are going to go to King Kong because he's going to gobble up everything. Okay, so that's what happens with primate cities. Okay, so the primate, right, eats all the services, right? King Kong is going to gobble up all the services, all the bananas. Okay, when that starts to happen in a country, the problem is that the country can't support services at all levels. So what'll happen? Okay, so what'll happen is that one big city gets the country's stuff. Like all the money will be funneled into that one big city. All the infrastructure, improvements in infrastructure, the best schools, the best hospitals, the most restaurants, the most stores, the most housing, all of that stuff will go to the primate city, because if it doesn't, then the biggest set of population suffers. Okay, so it's hard to start funneling services to other cities because the primate city is taking it all. Okay, real world example. England is a primate city country. Okay, their largest is London. Okay, London has about 14 million people. Their next largest is Manchester. They only have 2.6 million. So see how big of a difference that is? London is going to get all the stuff. They're going to have the best things, okay? Because they're going to have the most people. So you cater to the biggest city that has the most people first, okay? Now, another example is India. India's biggest city is Mumbai. And Mumbai has about 18 million. Some sources say 20 million, so anywhere from 18 to 20. Okay, and then their next biggest is Kolkata. And that sits at about 4.5 million. So see, that's a really big difference. That's England. You don't have to draw these. There's India. Okay, so that's real world. Okay, rank size rule. All right, so this is in your list of definitions. This is the weird definition, okay? It's the one that says the nth largest city, okay? So, okay, here it goes. The nth largest city in a country will be 1/nth the size of the largest city. So I know that kind of sounds confusing. So just plug a number in. Okay, the 10th largest city in a country will be 1/10 the size of the largest city. Okay, yeah.
What does the second thing say? That's the first thing that's underlined say? Like, does that make sense? What it just asked?
No.
That's after the.
Nth.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so for example, let's just use a fake country and then I'll give you a real world. So country A. So let's say that country A's largest city, and let's do something easy, is like 100,000 people. Okay, gotta do easy math. Okay, then their second largest city will be 50,000, right? Because the second largest city in a country will be 1/2 the size of the largest city. Okay, the third one will be 33,333, because that's the one that has all the threes. Okay, the fourth one will be what? Yeah, 25. Okay, the fifth one would be what? 20,000. The 10th one would be what? 10,000. Okay, does that make sense? So no matter the rank of the city, you just take the largest city and divide it by the rank. Okay, so the 20th largest city in a country will be 1/20th the size of the largest city. Okay, so now this you'll mostly find in MDCs. Okay, and the reason being is, so kind of how like primate cities, like those end up developing because the country can't support services at all levels in all areas. In rank size rule, MDCs, they can support the services in all areas because they're MDCs, they're fully developed countries. They have the money and the infrastructure to be able to do that. Okay, so that's what we'll add. So services can be supported at all levels. Okay, so let me give you real world. The U.S. is a rank size rule country. Let's see if I could draw the U.S. Guess what our biggest city is?
New York.
Yeah. NYC.
Should we draw out the United States?
You can. So that's 8.6 million. Now understand, when we do this, for it to work for the U.S., you can't include the suburbs and all that. This is only the city proper, like the city center. That's it. That's all we're including, okay? So New York would be the biggest. Our second biggest is Los Angeles. They sit at about 4.1. So see, that's half of NYC. The third, that's Phoenix. They sit at about 2.6. Houston. They sit at about 2. And then Philadelphia is the 5th. I'm just going to put Philly. They sit at about 1.6 million. Okay. Questions about rank size rule? All right, let's move on to central place theory, which really kind of should be review. Okay. Woo. I always forget. Okay, central place theory. So central place theory is by this German guy. His name is Walter Kristaller. Okay, so I'm telling you that because some of his terminology, like I'll match it up with how we say things, but it's kind of weird because it's German. All right, he's kind of fancy. Okay, so let me give you the theory. So when it's central place theory, this is all this is about is a place in the center. Okay, so central place, a place in the center. Okay, so central place theory is central place, whatever this central place is, whatever store, restaurant, service, whatever it is, okay, is a location where people can go to receive goods or services. Okay, remember, this is tertiary stuff. Okay, that's that tertiary sector. Okay, so let me draw it for you. This is what it looks like, and maybe this will hopefully look familiar. So you have a service, whatever this service is. We'll say it's Target, okay? So his theory or his model is a hexagon shape. Okay, so your dot in the center is your central place, okay? Whatever that is, gas station, restaurant, store. Okay, so for us, it's Target. All right, remember that the edge of it, that's your range. That's as far as that Target can reach before they go to a different Target, okay? This area, that's all in the middle of it, okay? That's your market area. And then probably the most important, okay, the people, that is your threshold. Threshold is the most important. You got to have people to be successful, okay? If a place doesn't have a lot of people, like say Salina, is Target going to build a store in Salina? No, they don't have enough people yet. But might they consider building one in Prosper now? Yeah, they might, because now Walmart's there, right? And they like to compete with Walmart, okay? But until a place has enough threshold, enough people, stick figures, okay, they're not going to locate there because they want to make the most money that they can, okay? So, like, for example, you know, some stores may only require like a couple of people. So maybe like a gas station. Right, but then others might require a lot of people. Maybe like a restaurant. Oh, like Chick-fil-A. Okay, now here's where I think sometimes it gets a little confusing. That's just one store, one service, Okay, when you see Kristoller's model, it's hexagon on top of hexagon on top of hexagon on top of hexagon. Okay, so it gets a little confusing. So that's what so sometimes you'll see it like this. Okay, so let's just pretend, like right here, since we were using target, let's pretend that this dot, that's our target next to Wakeland. Okay, but does Frisco have more than one target? Yeah, where's the other one?
By the mall.
Yeah, it's over by the mall, right? And remember, that used to be our only Target. So if you wanted to go to Target, you had to like fight all the mall traffic and go over there, okay? So now, though, we don't have to do that. So Target looked at Frisco and they said, oh, okay, they have enough people now for us to go ahead and build another Target to service those people over there on the, what side are we on? West side of Frisco, okay? Makes sense? Think of it like, what? Chick-fil-A. Oh my gosh, so many Chick-fil-A's now. Okay, we've got Chick-fil-A right next to us. There's another one over off 121. There's one inside the mall. Okay, I think Prosper has one now. Okay, so that's what stores do. They figure out, okay, well, since they have enough people now, let's go ahead and build another one to service these people. Okay. Now, here's kind of how they decide. So they look at the size of the settlement. How big is this city? Okay, how big is this settlement of people? All right, and here's where we kind of get fancy with our language. Okay, so do just a little dot with a little hexagon. Okay, so Kristoller calls this a hamlet. We don't use that term. We say rural. Okay, so what would be our hamlet, our rural area closest to us?
Salina.
Maybe Salina. Okay, then let's do a little bit of a bigger dot and a little bit of a bigger hexagon. So that's a village. Oh, we don't really use villages, okay? We really kind of say like suburbs, okay? But for this one, I'm going to use Prosper because it's a smaller, kind of newer suburb. Okay, two more. Go a little bigger. Okay, then he says town. So for that, let's use Frisco. Okay, and then our last one, a little bigger. City. So what would we connect to? Dallas. Okay, so think about this, right? In Salina, okay, you only need one high school to service for your people. Okay, maybe a couple gas stations, maybe a little store. Okay, but if Salina wanted to go to Walmart, where are they going? They're going to go to Prosper, right? Prosper has a little bit more. Let's see, they're building their second high school, so they have two high schools to service their people, right? They've got a Walmart now, a Chick-fil-A. They've got a few other restaurants, a few other stores. Okay, but if they want to go to a Target, where are they going to have to go? They're going to have to go to Frisco. Frisco, we got a couple of Targets. Forget how many high schools we have. Good grief. Okay, we can go to soccer games. We can go to hockey games. We can go to basketball games, baseball games. Now, they're minor league besides soccer, but they're minor league, right? So if we want to go to like a Mavs game or we want to go to a big concert, where do we have to go? We got to go into Dallas, right? Dallas, you live in Dallas, you have it all. You've got all the stuff, okay? All the games, all the concerts, all of the schools, okay? They even have the universities, right? Like SMU or UTD, okay? So that's how they decide where that central place goes. Where can I put this to reach the most people so I can make the most profit? Now, if you're a primate city, you get everything in the country because you're the biggest one that services the most people. But if you're rank size rural, you can put that stuff in multiple places to get all areas of your country. Okay, so that's where the gravity model comes in, right? Primate city, you've got one big, huge magnet attracting all the people in your country. Rank size rule, you got lots of little magnets that are attracting lots of people from lots of different areas. Okay, make sense? Okay, so let's scan that and let's load that. That's entry number 5, and it'll be called sizing of settlements.